Welcome to Pixelated Realms, your guide to the digital landscape, untangling the mysteries of your favorite titles and discussing the latest and greatest in video game fun. I'm your host, Alex Salerno, and alongside me is my brother, Tyler.
Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you. We're really excited for today's episode to talk about some video games and the state of play.
Yep, exactly. We're going to talk about what we're playing, like always, and we're going to talk about the state of play, and maybe if we have time, a little bit about the Suicide Squad reviews. So, what have you been playing?
What have I been playing? So, I've been incredibly busy, but that has not stopped me from playing some good video games this week. Really, my two main has been I'm been sticking with Tekken 8, surprisingly. I've been continuing to learn, continuing to get better at the game slowly. If you're a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat player who's considering trying Tekken out, I was that person, and after a week of playing, I am really impressed with the level of teachability and the ways that it gives you to learn. I just realized or discovered that there's a replay feature, and it allows you to go into your past replays, even your ranked matches, and see all of your mistakes and actually take control of your character and fix and correct yourself for the future. I've never seen anything that detailed in a fighting game before.
Yeah, you showed me that last night, and I was honestly blown away by that. And I was like, wow, this is modern gaming to me. This is the kind of cool things that you don't see every day. And so, like, you were playing a game, and we were watching a replay of one of your previous games, and anytime you could basically press a button and jump into the game and replay that moment. So if you, like, screwed it up, you could practice that moment over and over again. And I just thought that was impressive. Like, after coming from Mortal Kombat 1, I mean, I'm not a fighter guy at all. I don't really play
But
them.
you played a few matches with me, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I played Mortal Kombat 1 through the campaign, played a few online, and then going over to this and seeing like, oh wow, like the contrast is very stark. It's like
that's exactly kind of where I'm at too. I've been a Mortal Kombat fan for years. I've been playing at I'm going to call it a ranked level, right? I've been playing at a ranked level. I'm not saying I'm good, just that I can stand my own. I've been playing at that level for 2 or 3 games now. And so you once you're at that level, like you're like, okay, I understand the foundations of the game. I'm not Sonic Fox, but like I understand what I did wrong when it happens. Tekken, I'd played it in the past, but had never divin in that deep. So, I thought, hey, we're doing a podcast. I love fighting games. Like, it's just a great opportunity to dive in. I also saw a lot of videos of people saying, like I'm doing in this podcast, saying, hey, if you are interested, this is a great time to start. And so that kind of prodded me. And if I can lend my support to that, I certainly do too. But I just got to say, I'm really impressed with the release of this game. I mean, there's a lot of characters. It's very clean. I'm not really having any issues. Yes, there's a couple small bugs and networking things. But overall, it's just been a sterling release. I've beat the story. I've beat the arcade quest. I've beaten most of the character chapters. I'm just having fun. And the number one thing that people say, Tekken creators say, and I'm going to also say is, just don't worry about knowing everything first. It's a game that does allow you to be bad at it, and you can just sit there and click some buttons and have some fun and slowly build up knowledge and learn it. So it's I've been really shocked. I think this has probably sold me to be a Tekken fan, and as I've mentioned, I'd really like to do a deep dive video into Tekken 8 as a beginner and show people kind of specifically, I'd like to say, hey, from an MK1 player, this is how I'm interpreting Tekken, and kind of abridge the gap there. So if you're interested in seeing that video, we would really love to see some comments, likes, and subscribes to encourage us to create that content. Of course, we do weekly content as well as daily shorts, but we would really love to see if there is an audience for kind of more specific deep dives into games like this. So please like, comment, subscribe, fill out our ask online, and the more you participate, the more content we'll make.
Yeah, great little
self
drop there. Yeah, we're always looking to expand our content library, kind of see what we want to do, and possibly diving more into like the long form content is always something we're exploring. But that's awesome. I personally don't think I'm going to get Tekken. It's not my speed, but I am thoroughly impressed by it. And yeah, watching you play it, I thought it was pretty cool. I've actually, you know, what I started playing is I downloaded Yakuza Zero after talking and seeing about the Infinite Wealth that came out not too long ago, and it getting like it's like 10 out of 10s and stuff like that. I was like, maybe I should jump into this. But the thing with Yakuza is like you have to know the entirety of the story. You have
Sure.
or you don't have to, I'm sure, but like it
You
certainly
don't.
helps the characters. And there's like 20 something games. And
Yeah.
and there a lot
So
of them it's been like over a decade building this long narrative. So it's like, okay, download they're all on Game Pass. I'm gonna download Yakuza Zero. I played a couple hours of it, and honestly, I've really enjoyed it so far. It's, you know, just an old school arcade brawler, which is
it
kind
just
of
is,
fun.
you know what's really funny is there's kind of a synergy between Tekken and the Yakuza games because they're both incredibly serious games. Like Yakuza,
Oh,
the Iron Fist tournament, like they're very serious games. But they're also goofy as hell. Like
yeah,
they're so goofy. Tekken, you literally have a bear you can play, and
I
he's
know.
trained in Mishima style fighting. In Yakuza, you're like doing karaoke on your off nights. Like they're both super silly, and I love that serious, silly contrast that a lot of Japanese studios go for.
I know it must be like a Japanese thing to have, like that must be like really popular to have that really stark contrast between the two. The like, hey, we have this really serious story, but because we don't want it to be too serious, here's some random thing you do. Yeah, like literally the first hour of the game, you sing karaoke and get drunk with some guy, and I'm just like, I just beat up a dude, and now I'm singing
I like, yeah,
karaoke.
I just got money from him. I'm Yakuza, man. Like this isn't
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
But it honestly makes it so unique and so fun. And it like I like when games don't take themselves too seriously, because like we all have to remember it's literally a video game. It's not
Oh yeah.
that serious, and this isn't real life. And yeah, we live out our fantasies and stuff through these games, but it's so fun to take a step back and be like, let's just be weird. Let's get weird with it.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Yakuza Zero, I believe, is a prequel to the. It was not released first. It's a
Mm-mm.
prequel to the first game. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't fact checked that. I haven't looked at the
But
actual history, but as far as chronological, it's the first one, but I don't think
yeah.
it was the first one released.
Okay. Yep. I believe that's the case, and I know that one is also a beat 'em up game.
Hmm.
Yakuza, like a Dragon series, is a turn-based RPG, and which has really kind of. I thought it was an offshoot, but it's starting to seem like they might want to move forward with the main series as that turn-based. Now, I don't know. There's probably an
Hmm.
expert in Yakuza that we could ask. But yeah, I'm interested to see how that goes because I would love to pick it up as well.
Yeah, I'd be interested. If anybody out there knows more about this, pixelatedrealms.org/ask and leave us a comment about how wrong we are about this.
Yeah,
Um,
educate us on some Yakuza.
yeah, very interested in that. And then as far as like upcoming games,
Yeah.
I was keeping an eye on Suicide Squad, but obviously that has been
Well,
getting just
let's talk about
hammered.
that a little bit. So I'm a huge DC fan. I'm a huge DC games and animated films. And personally, I own Suicide Squad comics. I own the animated films. I really like the Suicide Squad personally. And so I had my eyes on this for a while. I don't know if we mentioned it in any of our previous episodes, but it may or may not have just been kind of like briefly mentioned. But regardless, I was really looking forward to this title. I have not purchased it yet. I think they kind
From
of
what
got
I've
hit.
seen, maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, they got hit by
Not
kind of
yet.
a media. What do you call it? A media situation, right? Things went bad for them pre-release, right? It was a bad situation. So regardless of what the game result ended up being, they stubbed their toe before the finish line. And so what I'm seeing now in a lot of the reviews, which is not surprising, and I've had this experience myself in many games, is you read the reviews and it basically is like, this game is garbage, it's not great, doesn't live up to expectations. And then I'm like, sometimes I just go, you know what? I'm not going to believe it. You go buy the game and you start playing it and you go, okay, I'm kind of seeing it. There's like, this doesn't work. This doesn't really work. Like, this doesn't seem thought out. The end
Hmm.
game isn't really quite there. But like, I'm having fun. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like I'm wasting my time. Like, I feel cool. I'm running around as, Deadshot or Harley Quinn. Like, and that's what everyone seems to be saying. And no one can agree how that scores. Like, no one can agree if that's a 5 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 but like, there's something to be said about it. It's not
Yeah.
total garbage. If you can go in, have 20 hours of fun, and maybe you don't want to play it any longer, that deserves a little bit of credit. Of
Does it
course,
change
I
your
would.
mind that it's a $70 to $90 title on top
Uh,
of whatever their microtransactions probably are?
Frankly, I don't think. I think video games shifting to $70 is already really a big ask, especially when video gaming is geared to such a large audience. I think it makes it really hard for younger kids to get games. Yes, now we're adults, we have salaries, and we can buy games as we please. But it wasn't that long ago that we had allowances and that wasn't accessible. So I don't
Well,
like it
and
for
you
a kind
can't
of.
rent. You can't rent anymore. We used to rent games we couldn't afford.
So like that was to me that's where I think about the pricing. I don't think like, ah, shit, I'm pissed I have to pay an extra $10. Um I'm mad that it's has less access to people. And
Well,
yeah,
but would you pay $70 for a game that gets a consistent 5 out of 10? Right? Like,
no, I will wait for sale to play. I will probably be waiting until this goes to an Xbox Pass or the PlayStation Premium, or I will wait until it is heavily discounted before purchasing.
yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. So I'm not like completely writing this off yet. I think that it's possible this could make a resurgence, but I think in its current state, I'm definitely going to skip it. I haven't played it obviously, but it seems like the reviews are saying like this isn't a go-to game, which might honestly be the death of it because if they can't, they kind of
Mhm.
want it to be a live service game, but if they can't, make money off of it, it's just going to die.
Yep.
But if they do maintain it, because this is Rocksteady we're talking about. They're a big, well-known company that's known for putting out pretty decent games. So if they are given the go-ahead to keep maintaining this thing, and then they come out and say, "Hey, listen, we know it came out in a kind of an iffy state. We took everyone's feedback. We've made some changes with the future DLC. There's new updates with the game. Maybe we're redoing our loot system. Yada yada yada."
Right.
I could see this making a resurgence, but it would really have to take an investment by the developer, and I just don't know if they're going to do it or not.
I don't really see that happening. I got to admit something to our viewers and to you. I am not a huge fan of their games. I personally, I don't love the Arkham series.
I love Arkham
um,
Asylum. Such a
I
fun
didn't
game.
really like Arkham Knights. Arkham Asylum, I'd usually get through like about a third of it, and then I'm just like,
Was
I'm
Arkham Knights the one where you
tired.
play as the sidekicks?
Correct.
I
Yes.
think that one wasn't very well received, so that's not
But
a
that was
great.
it's fairly recent.
Mhm.
So there's the Arkham Asylum games, but I've tried to get through those as well. I don't know. It just felt too XX, like attack, counter,
Mhm.
attack, counter, attack.
Right.
I get bored to death. I couldn't do it. For me, like Batman's cool because I don't know what he's gonna do. So when I am Batman, I think there's some magic that goes away. So
Uh,
I'd love to, people who did love those games, I think will definitely have an different interpretation. But like I said, I really wanted to play this game. I wanted I wanted it to be good. So it'll just have to be on the back burner, and I'll be waiting for a Steam sale myself.
yeah, same thing. Like I could see this honestly if they came out and they're like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna make this a free to play game." I actually could see this becoming very
Yeah,
popular.
that would be
I
smart. But
I don't, but the thing is I don't know if they can do that. Like
yeah,
as
can they do
smart
that?
theoretically as that is, all this stuff still takes money, right? And
Yeah,
the
you
free to
need
play
money up front.
model means that you're relying very heavily on microtransactions. And while I know that they do have microtransactions in the game, I don't know if it's set up to float the entirety of the game. So,
Right.
um, I think that would probably do, or you know what, or what if it like came to Game Pass or something
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? Like some or PlayStation whatever subscription service or something like that, and was like, hey, it's not free per se, but it's on all these passes,
Yeah.
and so which gives you the accessibility to playing a game that you were saying like, maybe we weren't gonna play this one, but you know what? It's a co-op game. I want to play with my friends. It's essentially free because I'm already paying for the subscription. I could see that doing very well, but as just a $70 straight up game, after
Yeah.
getting all these reviews that people are saying like the story, like from what I've seen online on YouTube and stuff like that, and all the scores is they're saying the story is good, but the gameplay is just super boring. They're like, you're just, once you've played the first hour, you've played the whole game, basically,
Yeah.
is like what they're saying. It's just very repetitive. And so To me, that's like a really good like subscription game. You're like, hey, I'm just here to kill some time with some friends and go and be weird with it, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay full price for that. I don't even think I would. I would maybe pay $20 for that, but that's if I didn't have anything else going on.
I think I'm willing to make kind of a hot take on this one, just from kind of what has happened thus far. I unfortunately think this is probably going to get not enough support. I think we're probably going to see about a year worth of roadmap, if that. We're going to see them try to add some things. We'll probably get a DLC. We'll probably get a handful of patches. Maybe it'll come to a Game Pass or something like that. I don't think that'll be enough. I think they will end up pulling the plug, and this will kind of become another Marvel's Avengers. And
Yeah.
I don't want that to be the case. I'm just not seeing how they're going to gain the investment and the players after what has happened.
Yeah.
And this is coming from a perspective of two people who have not played it. So, please take it for a grain of salt. And I would very much hope that outcome is not the case.
Yeah, I agree. And it's so hard not to compare it to Marvel's Avengers. I was literally thinking that while you're talking before you even said it, because that, I mean, yeah, it's, DC and Marvel, different studios and all this stuff, but they're both superheroes and live service, and they're both kind of getting this
co-op.
Yeah, they're getting a similar reception, and from some of the reviews that I've seen, even the gameplay is very similar in style and stuff like that. And so it's like, oof, that one failed too. That one didn't make it and ended up getting essentially canceled. So
Yeah.
what is Rocksteady / WB going to do differently to avoid that fate, or are they just going to do the same thing? And it kind of had me reflecting a little bit on like the live service genre. Like, it's like, is that a death sentence now to try and get that? Because it's like, there's very few live services that work. There's, I can count on like my hands, probably the big ones, something like League of Legends. Maybe you count Destiny, but like, stuff like that.
Fortnite,
for instance. Fortnite is kind of one of the, well, I would say maybe League, but like Fortnite is one of the like OGs. And
no, the OG is World of Warcraft.
I guess, yep. Okay, but now we're getting into, is an MMO considered a live service?
Yeah, it is. It's the original live service.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but when you say the word live service, it kind of, while you're right, like in technicality, MMO is live service, it kind of has a different connotation to it now, because otherwise you would have called it an MMO, right? So it's like when because
the MMOs were just they're just the first thing someone thinks of when you think of live service. Now that era is gone, and now we have different live service that are not MMOs.
So live service is what, the like top level category, and MMO is like a subcategory? Is like that what you're saying? Because then
I'd say live service is a type of game, and MMOs, at least the last 20 years, were the most prominent of those. Can you think of any game in the 90s that was a live service game?
In the 90s?
EverQuest? MMO?
I mean, but the point I'm trying to make is I would call those all MMOs. Well, technically, yes, I guess they're live service games, but when you say the word live service game, I don't think most people's first thought is MMOs.
Let us know in the comments. We'll see.
I don't know. I mean, that's not a hill I'm willing to die on, but that's just like how I feel. But
that being
anyways,
said, we have a lot to talk about with the PlayStation State of Play.
Yeah, so, but before we dive in, we really appreciate everyone who follows us and subscribes. We post new episodes every Tuesday at 8 a.m. East Coast time on podcast services and YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Pixelated Realms Podcast. We don't monetize anything right now, so the best way that you can support us is by following us and subscribing and, shouting us out to your friends. If you want to ask us a question or leave a comment, you can go to pixelatedrealms.com that's wrong. pixelatedrealms.org/ask. Go ahead and leave us a comment and we'll talk about it at the end of the show. Okay, so State of Play happened. It's, for those who don't know, it's PlayStation's, they like kind of randomly drop these State of Play announcements to do like showcases of their upcoming games and stuff like that. And this one was a little bit of a fever dream in some cases. So there was a lot of fun, good announcements for the kind of 2024 PlayStation
Lineup, yeah.
world. Yeah, the lineup. But it's hard not to talk about Death Stranding first. So Death Stranding 2 got a
Okay.
trailer,
Oh.
and Hideo Kojima has to be on LSD when he's writing these things. There's no other, or acid or something. Like there's no other way to describe
Same
these
thing.
videos. Yeah, exactly. He's like you watch this and you're just like, who approved
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, like where did you conceptualize this?
And why
Like
did
in
you
a
think this is
deprivation tank? Like
yeah, so like if you watch the video in Death Stranding, like they obviously have the baby in the womb and they do that shot and then it looks up but it has like it's like bleeding red black goo and then it opens its mouth and a little drone comes out and it flies out and then the bad guy who is Troy Baker is this like
guitar
rock
wielding.
like hair
Yeah.
80s hair metal guy with this like kiss like face paint, and he's got this guitar that's actually a weapon, of course, and he plays the guitar to shoot lightning at people, and he can use it as like a axe
As an
blade
axe,
and
Yeah.
it's like this like whole thing of like, and it's like so like niche anime that, and like there's like one of the characters has a like a face mask that's actually hands that like have their own thing, and they like go like this over their mouth, and then there's this little marionette character, like a little literal like
Yeah.
marionette that talks and sits on his like belt loop and just talks
It's like
the
a
whole time.
soul without a body, like something like that.
Yeah, and you're like, how does this
Yeah.
work in the world that this is supposed to be in? And I never finished the first game, but I played a lot of it. I could only get so far before I was like, I'm done walking. But I still don't, even having played the game, I still don't know how any of that fits in.
I think it's I think creativity is a weird thing, of course. I mean, I think it's very novel. I think it has a bit of a like mystery shock factor in the sense that like like that is what pushing the envelope is, right? It's trying
Totally.
something completely new. A lot of people are going to riot, a lot of people are going to like it, right? So that like the fact that you're like, wow, that's super weird is the provocative nature of a new idea. And so I'm fine recognizing that, and I'm fine like appreciating it. And the game does look very interesting to me. I also have not beaten the first game after watching that trailer, though. I really wish I had, because I wasn't understanding everything. I was a little confused, just like storytelling wise, but there was a few gameplay aspects that did stand out to me that kind of were cool. So first and foremost, in the first game, like it really is about the environment and trying to transverse the environment for many aspects of the game. I mean, yes, there's some combat elements, but a lot of it is this terrain transversal aspect. And in the trailer, we could see new types of environments and new like particle physics going on. So we saw like avalanches when he was hiking through mountains. There's going to be like beaches. So there was all these new like environmental elements to me that flagged like, oh, this is a new gameplay feature. Like this is what they've been changing from the first one. So I think it's really cool. I think it's like almost like it's hard to just not just indistinguish it from like an art piece or a film.
Yeah, totally.
And I appreciate that Kojima is heading that in our society. He is heading this film and video game, vision moving forward, whatever we feel like calling it, a cinematic video game. So although I do believe Kojima is a little overhyped in the video game industry, just like by his presence alone, like it's just like people think they need to like get down and bow. I still think he has really exciting ideas, and I'll be curious to see when this comes out.
Yeah, and like none of my criticism means that I don't like it. It's just it's undeniably weird, and there's certainly a place for weird, right? And whether or not that will translate to sales, though, will be interesting. And I think Hideo Kojima does a really good job of marketing himself. And I don't know if it was an accident or if this is on purpose or whatever, or if he just is like, hey, I'm just some artistic crazy person, and everyone just jumped on board with that. But like that's gonna take this game. That's why he can get away with this stuff, is because like he can make these weird games that most people would look like if anybody else made this, they'd be like, ooh, like I don't know about this. But because it's a guy that everyone trusts, they're like, okay, maybe I'll give it a shot. So I'm probably not going to buy it, to be honest, but I am curious to watch the YouTube videos about this game,
Yeah.
and see what the gameplay is and stuff like that. And kind of in the same breath, he also announced a new game. So he's making a new
Yeah.
action espionage game, which is the genre he's famous for, right? Metal Gear being his, kind of most popular thing. So, he's working with PlayStation on essentially a new Metal Gear, something similar. Obviously, he can't do Metal Gear because Konami owns the rights to it, but he's gonna. I can't imagine it's honestly going to be that different. It's probably new character, new world, but the gameplay and stuff like that is probably going to be very similar, and we'll see where he takes it. And I'm very excited to see where what kind of full unleashed Kojima is allowed to do in a action espionage game, right? Because I feel like for a long time, the companies were probably like, you can be weird, but you can't be that weird,
Right?
Like if before he started his own company, like if he was like, okay, hear me out, you wear a fetus on your chest, they'd be like,
Right.
no, hard pass.
That's gonna be a no, Kojima. See you later.
Yeah, but now he's his own boss, and so everyone's like, hey, all right, he makes money. He's been proven to make money even with his weirdest ideas. So if that can work, they're just gonna let him off the leash. He's gonna be able to do some crazy stuff, and I'm really excited to see where that goes.
Yeah. We'll definitely keep an eye out on that one. But there was actually a lot of really interesting games that got bits in the state of play. So just starting from the first one, Helldivers 2. Have you played the first Helldivers by chance?
I never played the first Helldivers, but I am very interested in this one now.
Yeah.
So it's a $40 title, which I know like we really shouldn't judge a game based off of its like value, but that always the lower barrier to entry for me always makes me interested, because it's hard not to essentially lower my bar for what I would like normally have for a game, when it's like, hey, this game's half price of a full title. And then it's like, okay, it's co-op. I also give a lot of leeway to co-op games because, one, I just like to go on adventures with my friends, and if let's say the game is mediocre but I can do some dumb crap with my friends, it makes the game a lot more fun. And this game looks like you could do a lot of dumb shit, like you can basically call in a nuke on your friends on accident and like blow them up. So
what?
Yeah, and I was like, okay, like maybe I could get into this. And like this reminds me, I'm getting a lot of like Outriders vibe in this game, and I actually really liked Outriders. I played it from beginning to end. I had a really good character and stuff like that. And I think people gave Outriders a lot of shit because they kind of played it as if it was a live service game, but it was never a live service game. It was designed to be you play the game through, you have a cool character that's wacky, and you do some stuff. But people would get to the end and be like, where's the rest of it? And it's like, well, that's never what the game was supposed to be. So like having played with my friends in that game and just playing through the story like once through, like I felt like I got my time in and it was good and I was done. This is a game like I feel like I could get into in that same respect, where it's like, hey, I don't know if it'll score the best. I mean, we don't have any scores or really any previews out of it yet, but if it comes out and they're like, hey, it's pretty good. You can shoot with your friends, you can kill bugs, you can do other stuff, and you can have fun. I might be sold on it.
Yeah. One thing I think that's worth noting is the original Helldivers 1 game was a top-down shooter, and they've decided to orient this now to a third-person shooter, which, to be perfectly honest, I think that opens the door. Like, I kind of immediately become more interested, because it's not that I don't like top-down shooters. I just think they lend themselves to particular types of games more than others. I was really interested. We don't have a lot of information on this one, but it's something to look out for. Shifting over to a game that actually does look incredibly interesting to me is Stellar Blade. Did you see that trailer as well in the state of play?
I did see the trailer. Honestly, this wasn't a game that piqued my personal interest a lot. So as you could probably imagine.
Okay, let me take it from here then.
Yeah, you take it.
So, Stellar Blade, of course, it's introduced us to this kind of incredible anime looking world. I get Xenogear vibes. I get
Hmm.
Arise vibes. I get um that kind of Japanese RPG, like Nier Automata, Final
Hmm.
Fantasy 16. Like there was a lot of those vibes coming out of me, which frankly is definitely a positive. So I was like, okay, I like this. The characters look compelling and interesting. The art immediately stood out to me as something quite beautiful. The graphics clearly look next gen. I would take a guess that it is
Yeah.
probably the same engine that Final Fantasy 16 is run on. Um, it is a Korean development team called Shift Up, and I was kind of like, oh, I am not familiar with them. So they are part of like the greater, or oh man, I have to look it up now because I feel stupid.
Like a parent company? Is that where you're going with this? Like what their parent
Yeah.
company is?
Oh right, yeah, they're just a parent. I feel even stupider now. So they're a small studio owned by Sony Studios,
Okay.
and essentially, this game is 5 years in the making. It has a lot of, like I said, it has a lot of influences from Nier Automata, Final Fantasy 16,
Yeah.
Devil May Cry. They didn't really reveal a ton of information, but they revealed enough that where enough of the gameplay where I'm like, this is definitely a wish list. This is definitely a look after, kind of like keep an eye on this one. This is going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive for everyone on the show, just so you know. So you might have to wait if you're a PC player, but I'm going to keep my eye on this one.
Cool. Yeah. It looks good. I mean, you're right. The graphics look amazing.
Yeah.
Not really my style, but very exciting for those who like that kind of thing. Something that I'm looking for, well, there's actually a few on here that I'm really looking forward to, but one that I've been kind of keeping my eye on that I'm still kind of uncertain about, but I feel is really popular right now as far as like hype is the Rise of the Ronin game. Like that one's
Yeah.
been getting a lot of hype. Looking at the gameplay though, I feel like it could go either way, and I'm very interested to see where it ends up, where it lands, because it looks very much like a Sekiro, Assassin's Creed, samurai kind
Yeah.
of crazy. Like you have like all these like really fast attacks. You can jump up in the air and glide down, and then jump and attack somebody. And it's supposed to be like open world, and it's hard not to compare to something like Ghost of Tsushima and stuff like that, which is like one of my favorite games of all time. 10 out of
So
10
I
out
have
of
I
10.
have some information on this one. I too am really I saw the gameplay for Rise of Ronin and I said, who made this? Because this is clearly someone who's done something similar to this before. So I looked it
Mm-hmm.
up.
Yep.
It is Team Ninja. Team Ninja is part of Koei Tecmo. So it's
Yep.
part of a bigger organization, but they are responsible for Dead or Alive. They're
Yeah. Neo,
responsible for
Wulong,
Neo.
Ninja Gaiden.
Yes, right, Wulong. So they have a lot of experience in this games. Have you played
Mm-hmm.
Neo?
I
Any of them?
haven't, but
Okay.
it's one of those
So,
ones that like I'm surprised I
yep.
haven't.
Yeah, so I played Neo 2. It is very, very similar to Sekiro,
Mm-hmm.
and the kind of From Soft formula, with a little bit of their own twist to it.
Yeah.
It is very, very fun. It is very compelling and great. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, they did Wulong and Neo. Like, we're looking really good here. There's a few just plot elements that looked really interesting to me. First and foremost, it's taking place in the 19th century. And if your history is a little shaky, the 19th century was early 19th century was a time of isolationism in Japan. They had a
Mm-hmm.
policy not to allow, this is real life, this isn't just in the game.
Yeah, they
In
didn't
the
allow
early,
any white people in.
they didn't allow anyone in.
Yeah.
It didn't. If you weren't Japanese, you weren't allowed in. It was an isolationist policy, and essentially due to various factors that we don't have time to explain, they opened up their trade in the 19th century. Look up, what is it? It's like gunboat negotiation or something. There's a history term. Sorry, guys. But either way, so that's going to be, it's really interesting. So it's taking place in a port that is the first port to open up to foreigners. So you're this rogue samurai who is going to be interacting with a worldwide kind of array of individuals. It has this real like Red Dead Redemption feel because it's that
Interesting.
history plus it's this combat and it has this narrative.
I
So
love that.
think about Ghost of Tsushima with kind of this really cool like Assassin's Creed flair with this really cool history flair. I don't know. Once I kind of saw all that, I was like, I think this could be like really, really good.
I mean, I hope so. Like, well, I mean, obviously, I'd never hope a game fails, but like, I really hope this comes out and is what everybody wants it to be. I think we've only gotten trailers. I don't think we've gotten any preview, like
Mhm.
um, preview gameplay or anything like that from any of the outlets. So I'm definitely keeping an eye
There
on
was
this
some
one.
gameplay.
No,
It's
there's trailer gameplay, but I don't think
oh,
anybody's
okay.
got their hands on it yet, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, so that one's very high on my watch list. I think that's probably going to end up being a PS exclusive too, but I don't have that double checked.
Um,
Moving
yeah,
on. So there's
probably.
actually there's a couple. I think there's a couple here that we don't really need to even talk about. Like V Rising coming to PlayStation, that's great. Dave the
Yeah.
Diver coming to PlayStation, that's great. Um, if you want to talk about Silent Hill, you're welcome to.
Hell yeah, I do.
Personally, I'm not interested. So all you.
I'm interested in Silent Hill. I love those games, and so they shadow dropped a companion game called Silent Hill: The Short Message, which is like this short game that is basically marketing material for the full game. But I did download it, I played it, and I beat it, and it's fun and it's cool, but it's completely different than Silent Hill 2, and so it's really just a like, hey, here's a little olive branch while we're still working on the game you actually want. And it's this very interesting story that takes place in modern Germany, and um, it's a first person game. It's more of a psychological thriller about like the woes of like suicide and stuff like that. So warning, if you're that kind of thing makes you uneasy, I would skip the game. But it's very cool. It's very interesting. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's very short experience. I think it only took me like 2 hours to play through. That was cool. So unexpected and always fun to get those kind of things. It's very remnant of the Kojima PT kind of um, demo that came out a while ago.
Yeah.
First person, all the doors are doing weird things, are getting chased around at some points. So very cool, very dark. Not very long, but worth a good playthrough if you like those kind of games. But honestly, it doesn't have really that much to do with Silent Hill itself. So if you're only interested in Silent Hill, the original games, or Silent Hill 2 remaster that's coming out, you could probably skip it. But the
Sure.
remake looks really cool. I mean, it's considered kind of one of the best horror games ever made. So, depending on who you ask, obviously that's debatable. I'm kind of painted with a
Alien
big brush.
Isolation.
Yeah, big brush there. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. We want to talk about horror games. We can go for a long time, but it's one of the best. And so that the fact that this remake is coming out is very exciting. Kind of a modern take on everything. And if it's as good as like the Resident Evil 2 and stuff like that comes out, then I'm excited to play it. I mean, I'm gonna get it for sure.
That sounds great. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about it. Get me into it. I'm always ripe to.
Yeah,
I like to like things. So if someone can convince me to turn sides and play it, I'm all for it.
yeah.
So there was two more games in the state of play that really stood out to me. One we've talked about, the other we haven't really, but both I think deserve some attention. The first is Judas, coming from our team that created BioShock. If you've seen the trailer for this, you can tell very easily that it's from the team by BioShock.
Yeah,
First and foremost,
it looks
narratively
like it.
speaking, it looks incredibly interesting. It looks dynamic. The art looks super creative and exciting and interesting and compelling. So that's all great. The tone, like it's all there. I gotta say, maybe it's like a smidge too BioShock, like in the sense that I'm like, oh yeah, like I is this BioShock 4?
I know it
But
does. It does look like a straight BioShock
is
like
there anything
world.
wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with that?
No,
No. No.
no. I mean, it looks cool. It looks cool. It looks fun. It looks wacky. Um, they haven't really shown like a ton
Yeah.
of. I mean, but it looks like BioShock, right? It looks like BioShock Infinite kind of stuff. There's going to be weird bad guys that have these like grandiose plans that are end up getting foiled because of either their own ignorance or ineptitude or whatever, or just because you killed them, and like all these wacky characters in this weird world. But it's probably going to be a blast, and there's
Yeah.
always going to be a twist. That's the BioShock thing, right? Is these guys have some big twist that you're the bad guy the whole time or some shit. That's been the
Of
twist in
course.
like half the games. But I'm excited to play it. Dystopian future, first person combat, weird, wacky
cool
characters, I'm sold.
narrative. Yeah.
Yeah,
The main character looks great. So we're sold. Not much to say more than like, yeah, hey, please
yeah.
come out sooner
Um,
and we'll play
were
it.
you were you ever a Dragon's Dogma person? Do you know anything about that?
Yes. So that was the last one I wanted to talk about to close out today. Dragon's Dogma 2. Anyone who's played a Dragon's Dogma game all the way through is probably holding their breath until this game comes out, because it just looks incredible. Dragon's Dogma, if you're not familiar, is it's a long form RPG, is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to call it. It is an RPG that wants you to appreciate walking from a city to another city and all the adventures that might happen in between,
Mm-hmm.
without fast travel. It has a really kind of authentic RPG experience. It's quite unique in some ways. And personally, I haven't beat it. I've played quite a few hours of it. It's a very long game, but it's also a game that you can kind of tell early on, like, wow, I'm going to need to invest some time and effort into like understanding it. But once I do, this is going to be one of those games that once you beat it, you're like, maybe that was the best game I've ever played, you
Wow.
know? And Dragon's Dogma 2, it just looks like they've improved everything. And that is just so amazing. It has these amazing, like, the new combat animations look incredible. You can hop on the beast, which was in the first game as well, but it just looks even smoother now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything just looks better and smoother, and all the things the developers have been talking about just align with the first game. So they're like, guys, we didn't take out any of the challenges in the first game. We just made the game better. And so I'm really excited. It's coming out on March 22nd. I will pick it up. I will probably fail to beat it, and then I'll pick it up later. I will probably play it again until I beat it. But I know there's a lot of people out there who are really looking forward to this one, myself
Yeah.
included.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I never did play the first Dragon's Dogma, um, and I wish I had. And I didn't know about it at the time. And now that this one's coming out, I'm really excited. I mean, the other one came out, I want to say 12 years ago. I think I'm looking
It's
up
somewhat,
2012.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
2012. So it's
it's
been a
somewhat
while.
old.
And like, I'm really into these kind of genres. So like, I've beaten every Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all the FromSoft games, which this gives a lot of those vibes. I also like long form RPGs that aren't um Final Fantasy, I guess. Uh,
I
these
would
kind of like
compare
dark.
it. I would almost compare these games a little bit more. It's, to me, it's not as from softy. It's more
Would you say like
oh, it almost feels like an MMORPG that's not an MMO.
interesting?
I wish someone in the comments and some of our
What about like
viewership might
Dragon
be able to.
Age, something like that? Like,
More Dragon Age-y. Yes, it's more like, it's not. There is quests, there's companions, there's like it's almost more Witcher 3 or Mass Effect
oh,
2
I'm
kind
sold
of thing.
then. I'm
Yeah.
for sure sold. Like,
It has a
I'm
unique
very
take though.
excited.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's unique. It's not going to be exactly like those games, but
yeah. And from
really
what I've
good.
seen online and everything like that, I hear that apparently the story is like amazing and like, very twisty and one of those kind of like you really have to dive into it to understand it because you might be very confused for sometimes and then later you're like, "Oh my God, that makes all sense now." Like it's very deep.
So,
It's a very deep game as for what I hear.
well, to round out that thought, I'm continuing to play through Elder Scrolls Daggerfall right now on with the Unity cut, and it's just made me really appreciate like games that don't hold your hand. I
Mm,
think that, not that I hate a game that just says like, okay, go here. Okay, you did that. Now go here. Now go here. I- That's great. Sometimes you just kind of want to like sit back and not have to think about it and just play a video game. But sometimes you want to like really dive in deep and read all of the quest text. And if you don't read the quest text,
mhm.
you're not going to know that you're supposed to go northwest and go to this hunt a witch who has a potion for you that you need to take to a castle to save a queen. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
kind of engagement, which I'm experiencing in Daggerfall right now, it's another level of storytelling. And I think a lot of games are missing that, like, how would you do an element that like kind of learning the hard way, right? Like, so in Daggerfall, yes, the game was released in 94, 94 or 96. It's like, but still, like, I'm like, I got poisoned, and I'm like, crap, this character's gonna die now. So I had to go back to a save. Like, you have to learn, and it's harsh, and it's not like giving you anything. You have to earn it. And Dragon's Dogma always kind of followed that creed, where it was like, yeah, no, you could go to your character's being asked to walk from village 1 to village 2, and there might be a really high level monster. You could try to kill it. You're not going to succeed, but you could try.
Right.
So I love that. I love the challenging my brain to question the game, the mechanics, and find out what works so you can succeed.
Cool. Well, I am very excited for that, but we're out of time. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to be notified when we post new episodes. We post new episodes every Tuesday at 8 a.m. East Coast time on podcast services and YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at pixelatedrealmspodcast.com.org. Damn it, I almost did it again. .org. That's also wrong. Let me restart. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Pixelated Realms Podcast. All right, I did it that time. All right, bye everyone.
Bye.